Good afternoon, everyone. We are very fortunate to have Dr. Anand from IIT Jammu, who will be speaking on the topic Elevating Futures, the crucial role of skill development and skill India in the elevator industry transformation. So, may I please call upon Sir to address the gathering? Can we have a round of applause? So the sessions after this will be there as well. So they'll just start with this session. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Hope I'm audible. All right. Good afternoon to one and all. Of course, firstly, I would like to thank Anita ji for making this happen, and of course, special thanks to Kumar ji also. Sure. Okay. All right. So, in fact, as I was touching upon this skill development in the context of Skill India initiative from Government of India, in the same context, there are several such initiatives like which is applicable to the elevated industry. There is also sort of schemes which are coming up, and also from IIT Jammu, probably IIT Jammu is third generation IIT. This is for those who have not aware of. IIT still exists in Jammu, part of the other extreme part of the country, the northern India. So this IIT was initiated way back in 2016, along with the other four IITs. Of course, we have IIT Dharwad, IIT Palakkad, and IIT Tirupati, IIT Bhilai, and IIT Goa. Along with this, IIT Jammu was also started in 2016. In fact, last week our PM Modi ji was there to inaugurate our campus IIT Jammu, as well as there is a AIMS Jammu also, medical institute, and we also have IIM Jammu, right? So three top institute in a place like Jammu, right? I think this government has really done a wonderful job in bringing up, and it's in fact happening in a very organic way, where the technological institute, medical institute, and then the management institute are coming up, and then we are also having a crosstalk to evolve more such skill development or skill oriented courses. Okay, one of the course which is directly overlaps with my research interest is, most of you would have come across 3D printing technology, right? So that is my research interest, and in the news, I think very recently the post office was constructed by 3D printing technology in Bangalore, right? So that is the sort of impact or potential of 3D printing technology. Okay, so at IIT Jammu, of course, we are sort of developing this 3D printing group, which is also sort of focusing on very niche applications like biomedical, aerospace, and also automotive. Okay, and of course, we also would like to learn in the elevator industry how this 3D printing can be forged, and then we can start sort of harnessing the potential of this 3D printing. Of course, the stock is over. If I still keep talking this, I don't know. Uh, Excuse me there, maybe Arjun, if you can transfer the file and then you are doing that, that's great. Yeah, maybe that will be easier. All right, fine, thanks. So, yeah, so as I was mentioning, yeah, I think this lighter is not though powerful. So my title is Elevating the Future, right? So that is exactly fitting into the context of smart mobility, and then the thing. And what is this skill development sort of, sorry, skill development, the role of skill development, and of course, which is aligned with the Skill India initiative, particularly how we can make this process of equipping the technical manpower or the skill that is required for the elevated industry, right? So this is the quick sort of outline. I'll quickly touch upon the introduction, and then there are some course which is already being framed and then which is in practice, and in fact we would like to look at some of the sort of methodology assessment and also certificates that is existing, and I'll briefly touch upon the course matrix, right? So right, this is very important. In fact, in 2020, right, immediately after COVID-19, Government of India, Ministry of Education, they appreciated and developed this national education policy. Okay, so this is primarily enforces what is the skill quotient that is required in addition to the theoretical knowledge that is we are coming up with the courses, right? So you can see primarily this particular some of the Indian education sector that addresses this NEP are quickly captured here. In the interest of time, I'll not get into it, but the main takeaway is that in addition to the theoretical knowledge, the hands-on or the practical aspect is very much essential for the budding engineers. In fact, this particular NEP 2020 we adopt and follow even in IIT Jammu. Okay, and that is very important in the current scenario because we do require lots of hands-on and practical exposure for the students so that they can actually sort of force the technical concept that they learnt in the class, and then they can deploy it into the actual field application. In fact, in line of that, we also sort of offer a semester based internship program wherein the student can go and spend time in the industry, right? So that's how this NEP is taking its shape, right? And of course the main focus of this NEP is how do you sort of develop and inculcate the skill. This could be in each and every sector. Okay, you take for example computer science, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, etc. The skill is very essential. Unless and otherwise the student like you, which is nothing but the future of India, right? When you actually sort of apply your theoretical knowledge to the practical aspects, then only you can appreciate what you learned, and then that sort of a vertical is what we have to develop, and industry is also in need of such type of talents. Okay, so that is important. So now getting into the course curriculum, right? So for example, as I was mentioning, of course a major part of the content has been taken from the course developed by Kumar sir, and of course acknowledgement to him. This is primarily focusing on what is the sort of lift technician requirement, although this might not be directly relevant to the bachelors of or the engineers, but certainly those who come up with ITI and then diploma, right? For them there is a scope for getting into this sort of course, a certificate course focusing on lift technician, particularly on the electromechanical sector. And if you try to look at the size of this sector is almost like 4 trillions. Okay, so that big is this market, and it has been not tapped till now completely because of the lack of skilled sort of manpower or the workforce. Okay, and then of course if that is the constraint, we tend to have lack of efficiency, and then eventually you see we are not really capturing the full utilization of the manpower as well as the utilization of the services, right? So therefore how do we bridge this gap, right? So we need to have a sort of skill development courses through which we sort of take up ITI or diploma sort of candidates, and then we train them with the theoretical concept as well as they'll be taken onto the field to give them the practical exposure. Okay, so that is very important, and this particular course or the sort of methodology, right, it is a sort of bridging the gap. Okay, so that's the whole idea. And of course the course development program, you can see that the kind of lift technicians sort of age limit has been given in terms of 16 to and then maximum is no limit. 16 is because once immediately after the 10th, right? So after the ITI and then diploma courses, those guys will have a fairly theoretical base upon which they can be groomed, and then sort of given the practical exposure so that they can cope up with what is the industry requirement, right? So that's sort of, course process, development process goals. And then the core competences that you see here, right from whatever it starts on the safety consciousness, right? So from there, when we talk of the lift industry, of course, people start thinking of especially the senior citizen, for example, right? So they have always that sort of a myth that it is safe, and then if the power etc goes, how, what is the scenario etc, right? So you try to sensitize them through such sort of a very basic level of exposure to it, runs to the various sort of how you deploy and then manage the project, in the site, looking at the various constraints, right? In fact, just to give a very practical and relevant example, we completed a project in our own residential, building with successfully Kone, and Kumar sir helped us, and of course Ravi sir is also here. They helped us in kind of successfully completing it just in a matter of, I think, 1 to 1.5 months. Okay, which is in, I mean, I couldn't able to imagine, because the kind of coordination and then the sort of project management, it went to so seamlessly, right? I couldn't able to feel that pain of whatever there was a delay or whatever the thing, right? So that sort of management, project management, how it happens, primarily it depends on what is the technical manpower that they are working in the site, right? So that is very, very important, right? Of course, the pathways to acquire qualification, of course, as I said, there has been structured curricula, which I'll take you through, quickly, so that you will get sensitized. And you can see that there is definitely a assessment required. It is not just a free ride kind of a course. The candidate will be, kind of assessed based on whatever it's learning on both theory as well as practical, and then eventually he will be given a certificate sort of a thing, so that he comes out with that, kind of chapa, or branding, saying that this guy is really able to fulfill what is required at the site conditions, right? And the course matrix, you can see, there is a sort of, module 1, which primarily talks of junior assistant elevator installation, right? And you have more similar to more like, qualification. The guy who has just passed 8th standard should be able to handle the sort of, the course content, and it has been structured in that way. Those guys are able to digest and then deliver what is required out of it, right? So this is the sort of thing. And of course, more importantly, the duration is 150 hours. It has been packaged so nicely, right, in a modular way, from one step to the other. Like for example, you will be able to sort of appreciate, I think, of course, what are the sort of, content of the training. As I said, there is a theory as well as the practical component, right? So you have a series of, practical training which the candidate will be going through, so that he can able to comprehend what was taught in the class, and then he can be practicing the same thing in the field also. Okay, and of course the module 2, as I said, it is structured in a modular fashion, right? So the module 2 is more like assistant elevator installer, which is more like, you will have, on successful completion of the module 1, he will be more sort of, acquainted with the expertise that is required, and then he has more sort of a maturity towards how do he can, or how he can approach and elevate his skills further, right? And again, it is a 400 hours sort of a course, right? And slightly at a higher level, okay, so that it goes on, and then he will try to comprehend and then deliver what is required. Of course, these are all the sort of, terminal competency etc will be delivered. Of course, I'll share the slide to the organizers, and they can share it with the participants also. And this is the sort of course content which is being, split up or basketed in stage 1 and stage 2. Okay, and the module 3 is the elevator installer, and it goes in the similar fashion of the prerequisite of 1 and 2, and then further getting a deep dive into the, the conceptual thing, where he can sort of get more skill based, and then he can able to handle the project where he is working on, and the duration is 450 hours, right? And of course, this is the practical sort of content that he will be going through. Okay, so just to give you sort of that is the sort of course and certificate sort of a thing which is already available. In fact, I was told by Kumar sir that it is already also being used as an elective course in some of the bachelors of architecture courses. Okay, so which is I think appreciable, and then slowly we have to see that this penetrates to a mechanical engineering domain, civil engineering domain, because it's an interdisciplinary field, isn't it? So it should not be more like only with architectural sort of a thing. Okay, so that's the background of whatever the content I had. Quickly I want to touch upon some of the research work that we do back in IIT Jammu, and then we can see a sort of synergy between the current title or the exhibition theme, that is smart mobility, right? So this is one of the project which we worked on from DST, Government of India. This is primarily on the digital twin concept. Okay, so for most of you not aware of what is digital twin, okay, for example, I am a physical, let's say, object. If I clone my physical structure into a virtual, probably you guys might have seen Jeans movie, right? In Jeans movie, there is a cloning happens, and then in the song you can see, right, the virtual Aishwarya Rai has been created, and then they do that. Very similar sort of a concept, where this is primarily for a induction motor, what we looked at, and of course, for elevator industry, we day in and day out deal with motors, right? So what is the takeaway of this methodology or conceptual sort of a thing is that we can in fact monitor virtually what is the health status of this motor, okay, without seeing them, but you can in fact see them just like on your mobile phone, and trying to understand various parameters. For example, you can see here, if we in this particular project we mounted three sensors. One is temperature sensor, second one is vibration, and of course the third one is power meter, which is primarily gives you the voltage current information of the motor, and your temperature vibration data gives you the sort of the acceleration, and then subsequently the temperature. That is something given real time. That's what you see at the bottom. The real time data will be popped up, okay, and in fact we have used artificial intelligence, right, kind of a closed loop sort of a thing, where if there is an anomaly, meaning if your motor is functioning not in a proper condition, then there is going to be a signal which is triggered, which will be going beyond your threshold value, and then you will see that you have to attend for its maintenance, right? So primarily this is for a predictive maintenance, and going forward we are looking forward to how we can do a sort of prognostic based diagnostics also, okay, which will simplify in fact most of the catastrophic failure which can happen in the field, okay, if it is not unattended, right? So I saw that there was a kind of overlap for this work with respect to this theme of exhibition smart mobility, okay. And I think with this I would like to conclude, and acknowledgement for Kumar sir for making this happen, and then I would like to thank you again, Anita ji, for making this. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah. Yeah. There are Q&A? No, right?
You can ask the kids if they have.
If there are some questions, feel free to interrupt me, or you can sort of discuss offline also, because I see there is already some
Yeah, you know what we can do? We can do offline.
offline.
Yeah?
In the interest of, yeah, please, please, please.
No, no.
No? Okay, thank you so much. We
Thank
can
you so
discuss
much,
online.
sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Anand.